What happens when the owner of a diner goes undercover and finds his staff living in fear of the manager he trusted? You ever walk into a place you thought you understood, only to realize you didn't know a thing about what was really going on inside? That's exactly what happened to Darius Holloway one early morning in Fresno, California. No fancy suit, no entourage, no one whispering his name, just a man blending in, pretending he was there for a simple breakfast. He pushed the door of Holloway's home-style diner open the way any customer would, letting the bell above the frame ring softly. He had worn a plain cap and the kind of t-shirt you pick up from a local store without thinking twice. He didn't want anyone to recognize him. In fact, he counted on it. That diner had been his investment project for years, but lately, something about the place had been bothering him. He'd been getting small clues, a few negative reviews, a couple of unusual complaints, a message from a supplier who said communication had changed. Even the tone of his monthly reports felt different, too clean, too rehearsed. Something about all of it bothered him, and he knew the only way to figure out the truth was to show up like he was nobody. He took a seat in one of the corner booths, the kind that still had the slightly torn leather from years of customers sliding in and out. He always told himself he'd replace those cushions, but somehow he never got around to it. Now he was glad he hadn't. It helped him fit right in. A menu sat folded on the table, edges curling from use. He didn't even open it. He'd been eating the same breakfast since he was a kid. Toast and black coffee. Simple, familiar, honest. Darius watched the room closely without making it obvious. The diner had that morning quiet where most customers kept to themselves. A few construction workers chatted low near the window. An older man read a newspaper while sipping his coffee. A mother tried to distract her toddler with crayons someone had handed her. It all looked normal on the surface, but Darius had learned long ago that trouble never announces itself with a big sign. It hides in the little things, the tone, the eyes, the body language. He noticed the staff, too. One cook was moving fast behind the window, flipping eggs and sliding plates forward with short, tense motions. A dishwasher carried a tub full of plates that clattered loudly each time he walked. The air felt heavier than it should have, for a place meant to make people feel at home. That's when he saw her. A young woman in a faded uniform and an apron that had clearly survived too many shifts. Her name tag read Janelle. She pressed her lips together as she wrote something on her order pad, then inhaled slowly like she had to gather her strength before heading toward a table. There was something about the way she moved, controlled, careful, like she didn't want to draw attention. Darius had seen that posture before, years ago, on people trying to hold their lives together with the last bit of energy they had. She glanced around the room before approaching his booth, not scanning for customers, checking, watching. Almost like she was waiting for someone to correct her, or worse, judge her. Darius sat still, acting like any other hungry man waiting for breakfast, but inside he felt the first jolt of suspicion. Janelle approached and offered a strained smile. "Good morning," she said softly. "Can I get you something?" "Just toast," Darius replied. "And some coffee if you've got it fresh." She nodded quickly, almost too quickly. "Coffee's always fresh. I'll bring it right out." She walked away with her shoulders slightly hunched, gripping her order pad tighter than anyone should. Darius watched her go, and a thought hit him hard. Something was wrong here. Not with the food, not with the customers, with the people who kept the place running. But he didn't know yet that what he was sensing was only the surface of something far heavier. Janelle moved through the diner with a pace that didn't match the room. Everyone else took their time. People ate slowly, talked quietly, read newspapers, scrolled on their phones. But she was rushing in slow motion. Every step seemed measured, every movement calculated, like she was trying to avoid a mistake she couldn't afford to make. Darius watched her pour coffee for another table. Her hand shook just a little, so little most folks wouldn't notice. But he noticed. Years of running businesses sharpened his eyes to the smallest details. She apologized twice to the same customer, even though she hadn't done anything wrong. That alone told him a story. Someone had convinced this woman that even existing too loudly was a problem. And then there was the way she kept glancing toward the counter, not casually, not like a server trying to see if food was ready. She looked the way people look when they're checking for storms. Behind that counter stood a man with a thick beard, a wrinkled button-down shirt, and the expression of someone who woke up annoyed and never recovered. His name tag said, Carl. the manager he'd hired last year. At the time, Carl seemed competent. A bit rough around the edges, sure, but he talked a good game, promised efficiency, promised structure, promised to shape up the staff. Now Darius couldn't take his eyes off the guy. Carl stood with his arms crossed, glaring across the room like everyone owed him money. He didn't speak. He didn't smile. He just watched, especially Janelle. Whenever she passed near him, she tightened her grip on her apron. Darius tried to keep a neutral expression as Janelle returned to his table with his coffee. "Here you go," she whispered, setting the cup down with both hands like she wanted to make sure she didn't spill a single drop. "Thank you," Darius said, giving her a warm smile, hoping it would ease her tension. "Take your time with the toast. I'm not in a hurry." She nodded once, but her eyes flicked toward Carl again just for a moment before she stepped away. Darius followed her line of sight. Carl's eyes locked on her, then shifted to Darius, narrowing slightly. It wasn't suspicion, it was something else. Territorial. Like he didn't want customers talking too long to his staff. Darius took a sip of his coffee, and though it tasted fine, something about this whole scene left a heavy weight in his chest. This wasn't how his diner was supposed to feel. He'd built this place to give jobs, stability, comfort. He wanted families to sit here without worry. He wanted staff to feel like they had a place where they mattered. Instead, it felt like a room full of people waiting for something bad to happen. Janelle returned with his toast, gently sliding the plate forward. "Here you go. Let me know if you need anything else." "I appreciate it," Darius said. "Everything all right this morning?" The question hit her harder than he expected. Her mouth opened like she wanted to say yes, but her eyes said no. She hesitated, then forced a small smile. "Just regular day," she replied. Her voice wasn't convincing. She knew it. He knew it. Before he could say more, Carl called from behind the counter. "Janelle, order up." But the way he said it wasn't normal. It wasn't the usual kitchen call. It sounded like a warning wrapped in 2 words. She nearly flinched. "Coming," she said quickly, stepping away. Darius watched her hurry off, then looked back at Carl. The man didn't even hide the satisfaction on his face, like he enjoyed how fast she responded, like he enjoyed the power. Darius leaned back in his seat. He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but his instincts were rarely wrong. Something toxic was festering behind the scenes, something his manager didn't want him to see. But Darius was already starting to realize that he didn't come here just to check on the business. He came here because this place needed him more than he expected. Janelle reappeared a few minutes later, walking toward Darius's booth with that same worn-out grace, like she'd trained herself to hide how tired she really was. She set down a small basket of creamers and sugar, though he hadn't asked for any. It felt like she did it just to stay busy, to avoid standing still for too long. "You doing all right over here?" she asked quietly. Darius looked up at her and gave a small nod. "Yeah, I'm good. Appreciate you checking in." Her smile flickered, the kind of smile you put on because you're expected to, not because you feel anything close to happiness. He hated seeing that on anyone's face, especially someone who looked like they were hanging on by a thread. "Can I ask you something?" he said. She hesitated. "Sure. What do you need? You've been working here long?" She shifted her weight from one foot to the other. "A while, maybe a year and a half." She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "It's a job, pays the bills, or tries to." He nodded slowly. "You from around here?" She gave a soft laugh that didn't match the expression in her eyes. "Born and raised. Haven't really had the luxury to move anywhere else." Darius could hear the tired truth under every word. He wanted to ask more, but he didn't want to overwhelm her or make Carl think something was wrong. So he kept his voice low. "You look like you've been working hard," he said. "Really hard." She looked down at her apron. "Some days more than others." Before he could respond, she leaned in slightly. "Listen," she whispered. "If the service feels slow or if anything's not right, please don't say anything to him." Darius frowned. "To who?" She swallowed, eyes darting toward the counter. "Carl." Darius followed her gaze. There he was, arms crossed again, staring at her like he was dissecting every move she made. "He's strict," she said. "He doesn't like when customers complain. Takes it out on us." Darius felt something hot rise in his chest. Anger, yes, but also disappointment. He'd hired Carl to help these workers, not control them. Has he taken it out on you? Darius asked gently. Janelle didn't answer with words, but her silence did. She didn't have to explain. Her posture already told the story. She leaned in even closer, speaking just above a breath. Please, just enjoy your meal. Don't draw attention. He studied her face for a long moment. She wasn't avoiding eye contact. She wasn't being dramatic. She was scared, really scared. You shouldn't have to walk on eggshells at a job, he said softly. She looked at him with eyes that said she agreed, but couldn't afford to. I've got a little boy, she murmured. He depends on me. If I lose this job, I don't know what happens next. Those words hit him harder than he expected. He'd seen determination before, but this was different. This was survival. Janelle, Darius said quietly, I hear you, and I respect you being honest with me. She didn't know what to say. Most customers didn't talk to her like that. Most didn't even look her in the eye. Then she stepped back suddenly, adjusting her apron as if remembering something urgent. I should go, she whispered. Just let me know if you need anything. He nodded, but watched the way she hurried off like she was afraid to be seen talking too long. Darius took a slow sip of his coffee, trying to keep calm, even though his mind was spinning. He had come here undercover to check on customer service and operations, but he was starting to understand that the real problem wasn't on the surface. The problem was woven into the behavior of the staff, their tone, their fear, their silence, and all of it pointed back to one man. But this wasn't even the hardest part of the morning, because the truth Janelle was hiding hadn't even come out yet. A few minutes passed before Janelle returned to clear a nearby table. Darius didn't want to pressure her, but the air around her practically pulsed with something she was trying to hide. The way she wiped the table, quick strokes, eyes flicking up every few seconds, told him she was waiting for the moment when Carl would bark an order or glare at her again. And sure enough, when she turned her head toward the counter, Carl's stare was already locked on her like he'd been waiting to catch her slipping. She tensed instantly, not because she'd done anything wrong, but because she was used to taking blame for things she couldn't control. Darius leaned forward slightly, keeping his voice low. Janelle, he called out gently. She looked over, startled, and stepped closer. Yes, did you need something? You look worried, he said. You sure everything's all right? Her fingers gripped the edge of the bus tray like she needed something solid to hold on to. It's nothing, she whispered. I'm fine. But her voice cracked just enough for him to hear the truth behind it. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small bill. Nothing big, just something to show appreciation. When he slid it discreetly across the table, her entire body froze. Wait, no, she whispered, eyes widening. It's just a tip, Darius said, for good service. She shook her head, panic rising fast. No, I can't. If he sees... She swallowed hard and took a small step back. Please, put it away. Please. Her reaction was so intense, so immediate, that Darius carefully slid the bill back toward himself. You can't accept a tip? He asked. At all? She took a breath, then another, like she was fighting tears she didn't want to shed in front of a stranger. We're not allowed, she said, voice trembling. Carl keeps everything, every dollar. He says it's part of the rules, and if a customer insists, he says we're trying to take money behind his back. Darius's jaw tightened, not in anger at her, but at the situation he already suspected was worse than he imagined. So, he takes the tips for himself? Darius asked quietly. She looked around again, making sure Carl wasn't watching, then nodded. But that's not all, she whispered, and the way she said those words made Darius's stomach drop. What else? He asked. Her throat tightened. He punishes us if we argue, cuts our hours, gives us the worst shifts, threatens to fire us. She took another shaky breath, and he knows most of us need the job too much to say anything. Darius felt his chest heat with anger, but he forced his voice to stay calm. The last thing he wanted was to scare her more. That's not how any manager should act, he said softly. She wiped her hands on her apron. I know, but I don't have many options. I've got my son. He's 5. He needs clothes, food, everything. And this job is the only stable thing I've got right now. Her honesty hit him like a punch. A single mom, working herself to exhaustion, terrified for her livelihood because a man he trusted was taking advantage of her. "You deserve better than this," he murmured. She looked down. "Maybe, but wanting better doesn't change my reality." She stepped back, trying to keep herself together. "Please just act normal, all right? If Carl thinks I said anything, I won't let anything happen to you," Darius said before he could stop himself. She blinked, confused. "Why would you say that?" "Because I own this place," he thought. But he didn't say it yet. Not here. Not while she was scared. Not while Carl was circling like a hawk. Instead, he leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You're not alone. That's all I'll say for now." Her breath caught in her chest, but she nodded slowly, almost gratefully, even if she didn't fully understand what he meant. She turned to leave, but he gently stopped her with a quiet, "Janelle?" She looked back, eyes glossy with fear and hope, all mixed together. "Everything you told me, it stays between us," he said. This time, she didn't say anything. She just nodded once before walking away, wiping her eyes when she thought he couldn't see. Darius watched her disappear into the kitchen doorway, and he knew something with absolute certainty. This wasn't something he could walk away from, not today, not ever. But he also knew that confronting Carl too soon could backfire. So he needed to figure out exactly how deep this problem went before making his move. Darius sat back in the booth, trying to look like a man enjoying his coffee, but his thoughts were anything but calm. He kept replaying Janelle's words in his mind. Every whispered confession, every fear wrapped inside her voice, every glance she threw toward the counter like she was expecting trouble. He'd owned several businesses over the years. He'd handled theft, laziness, mismanagement, dishonesty, all the usual problems. But what he saw in Janelle wasn't the result of normal workplace stress. This was survival mode, the kind that left marks you couldn't always see. He looked toward the counter again. Carl was still standing there, jaw set, arms crossed, staring around the diner as if everything belonged to him. As if the staff were chess pieces he pushed around for his own amusement. The man even leaned back with this smug expression, tapping his fingers against the counter like he was waiting for someone to slip. Darius forced himself to stay seated. He wanted to get up right then. Tell Carl who he really was. Fire him in front of the whole room. Tell Janelle she was safe. But acting on emotion too fast had ruined more than one good business in his life. He needed information, clarity, a full picture. He needed to be smart. So instead of storming up to the counter, he lifted his mug again and took a slow sip of coffee, eyes drifting across the room. There were more clues now that he knew where to look. One of the servers, a young guy with a ponytail, avoided going near Carl entirely. A dishwasher who passed by the counter practically held his breath. Even the cook seemed to tense whenever Carl stepped too close to the kitchen door. This wasn't just Janelle's problem. Carl was poisoning the entire workplace. Darius sighed and set his cup down. He didn't know how long this had been going on, but he felt a heaviness inside his chest that told him he should have checked in earlier. He had trusted Carl too much, delegated too much, assumed everything was fine because the numbers weren't terrible. But numbers didn't tell you when someone cried on their break. Numbers didn't show who was being mistreated. Numbers didn't protect single mothers. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. All right, he thought. If I do this, I'm doing it right. He reached into his wallet again, but instead of pulling out money, he pulled out a small card, a generic business card he carried around for emergencies. It didn't have his full name, just a phone number and the word management. He placed it on the table and waited. It didn't take long for Janelle to return. She approached with caution, her eyes scanning his table, then the room, then him. You need anything else? She asked softly. Actually, Darius said, sliding the card toward her, I wanted you to keep this. She hesitated before taking it. What is it? Just the number, he said, in case something happens, or in case you need help. She looked at the card, then at him, confused. I don't understand. You don't have to, he replied. Not right now. For a moment, neither of them spoke. She seemed torn between gratitude and suspicion, like she didn't know whether to trust the kindness he was offering. Why are you doing this? She whispered. Darius met her eyes. Because what you're dealing with isn't normal, and you don't deserve to face it alone. Her lips trembled the slightest bit. She tucked the card behind her order pad quickly before Carl could see it, But of course, Carl saw something. He didn't know what it was, but he saw the two of them talking a bit too long. He pushed himself off the counter and started walking over, fake smile plastered across his face. Darius kept his posture relaxed. Janelle stepped back the second Carl got close. Carl leaned on the booth, looking Darius up and down like trying to judge whether he was worth pretending to be polite for. "Everything all right here?" Carl asked, voice sugary in a way that felt wrong. "Just fine," Darius answered. Carl nodded slowly, but it was clear he didn't buy that for a second. He glanced toward Janelle with this glare that promised trouble later. "Good," Carl said sharply, "because we run a tight place here." Janelle swallowed hard. Carl walked away, but the tension he left behind sat in the air like smoke. Darius exhaled through his nose. The time for watching was over. He had seen enough. But he also knew there was only one way to fix this, and it meant finally stepping out of his cover and confronting the man who'd been running his diner into the ground. Darius waited until Janelle stepped into the kitchen before he finally slid out of the booth. He moved slowly, calmly, the way a man does when he's already made up his mind. The room didn't quiet down, nothing dramatic like that, but a few staff members noticed him standing. Their eyes followed him with a mix of curiosity and fear, unsure of what was about to happen. Carl was back behind the counter, wiping an already clean spot with a rag, pretending to be busy. He didn't notice Darius approaching until the man was only a few feet away. "Carl," Darius said plainly. Carl turned, surprised for half a second before the fake smile returned. "Yeah? Something wrong with your food?" "No," Darius said. "We need to talk." Carl shrugged. "About what?" "The way you run this place." The smile vanished. Carl straightened up, trying to regain control of the moment. "If you've got a complaint, you can leave it at the register. I'll handle it later." "I'm handling it now," Darius said. Something about his tone made Carl pause. "Listen," Carl said, lowering his voice. "I don't know what that waitress told you, but she tends to exaggerate when she's stressed." "Oh, she told me plenty," Darius replied, leaning on the counter. "But I didn't need her to. I've been watching you." Carl's jaw twitched. Not a nervous twitch, a defensive one. "You got no idea how hard it is to manage people like this," Carl said. "They slack off. They don't follow rules. Someone's got to keep things under control." Darius raised an eyebrow. "By stealing their tips?" Carl stiffened. "I don't steal anything. It's a pooled system. I distribute it how I see fit." "I'm sure you do," Darius said. "Right into your pocket." Carl stepped forward. "You don't get to accuse me of anything. Who even are you?" Darius didn't answer right away. He wanted the silence to cut deep, wanted the man to feel the weight of everything he'd done. The staff watched from a distance now, dishwashers peeking from the back, servers frozen mid-task, even the cook leaning against the window. Finally, Darius spoke. "I own this place." Carl blinked. Once, twice, then he barked out a laugh. "Yeah, right." Darius didn't move. "Look me up. Call the accountant. Check the paperwork. My name is on every document this diner has. You work for me." The laugh died instantly. Carl's face dropped, the color fading just enough to reveal the fear he tried to hide. You should have told me you were coming," Carl stammered. "I shouldn't have had to," Darius said, "if you were doing your job." Carl's eyes darted around the diner, realizing how many employees were watching. The power he'd used for so long was slipping away in front of them. "You're making a mistake," Carl said. "These kids, they lie. They're lazy. They just want sympathy. You start believing them, and you'll lose control of this whole place." Darius stepped even closer, lowering his voice so only Carl could hear. "You lost control the day you started abusing the people who keep my business alive." Carl shook his head. "This is ridiculous. You don't know what they're like, especially that girl. She plays the victim, always has a story. I had to put her in line." Darius's eyes darkened. "What did you do to her?" Carl opened his mouth, but Darius cut him off. "You punished a single mother because customers liked her. You stole the money they tried to give her. You made her scared to work here." His voice rose slightly. "And then you tried to hide it." Carl backed up until he hit the wall behind the counter. "You're fired," Darius said firmly. "Right now. Collect your things and get out." Carl's mouth twitched like he wanted to fight back, but he saw something in Darius's face, something beyond authority, resolve, Strength. A line he had no business crossing. Carl pointed a shaky finger. This isn't fair. Fair? Darius repeated. You don't get to talk about fairness. The room was silent except for the soft clatter of a dish somewhere in the back. You've got 5 minutes, Darius said. Then I want you out the door. Carl looked around at the employees who had quietly gathered behind Darius. They weren't afraid anymore. They weren't small. They were witnesses. With no one left to intimidate, Carl grabbed his jacket, muttered something under his breath, and pushed past the staff on his way out. The bell rang as the door swung shut behind him. Darius stood still, letting the weight of the moment settle. The staff stared at him, some shocked, some relieved, some unsure what came next. He looked toward the kitchen doorway where Janelle had appeared, eyes wide, hands trembling again, but for a completely different reason this time. But before she could speak, Darius knew he owed her more than an apology. He owed her a promise that things would never go back to the way they were. For a long moment, nobody moved. The diner felt like it was holding its breath. Carl was gone, but the echo of his presence still clung to the walls. Then Janelle stepped out from behind the kitchen doorway, wiping her hands on her apron like she needed something to do with her trembling fingers. She walked toward Darius slowly, as if she wasn't sure she was allowed to get close. Her eyes kept drifting toward the front door, still half expecting Carl to burst back in. When she finally reached him, she stood there silently, searching his face for answers she didn't know how to ask out loud. Darius spoke first. You all right? She tried to respond, but her voice cracked before a single word came out. She swallowed and tried again. Did you really fire him? Yes, Darius said. But you're just a customer, she whispered, confused. You can't just... I'm not just a customer, Darius said gently. Janelle, I own this diner. Her mouth opened slightly, but she didn't speak. It was like her brain was trying to absorb the information one piece at a time. She looked around the room, at the staff staring at her with the same stunned expression she wore. Then she looked back at Darius, tears forming at the edge of her lashes. You own it? She repeated. I do. And you didn't tell anyone you were coming? I wanted to see things for myself, he said. I needed the truth, not the version written on a monthly report. She exhaled slowly, a shaky breath that carried weeks, maybe months, of fear, stress, and exhaustion. She pressed a hand to her forehead and let out a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. I can't believe this, she whispered. I thought I was going crazy. I kept telling myself it wasn't supposed to be like this, but every day he made me feel like I was the problem. You were never the problem, Darius said, not for a second. She wiped her cheek quickly, embarrassed by her own tears. I didn't want to complain. I didn't want to seem ungrateful. I'm trying to do right by my son. He's just a kid. He needs me to keep it together. You've been carrying everything on your shoulders, Darius said softly. No one should have to work this hard just to survive. Not here, not anywhere. She looked down, her voice barely a whisper. I thought if I stayed quiet, things would eventually get better. Being quiet only helped him, Darius said. And you're not alone in this anymore. Janelle covered her mouth with her hand, trying not to break down again. I didn't expect anyone to help me. Well, Darius said, offering a small smile. You've got help now. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a plain white envelope. Something he had prepared long ago for emergencies, but never imagined using this way. What's that? She asked. Something you've earned 10 times over. He handed it to her. She hesitated before opening it. When she finally saw what was inside, her breath caught. It was cash. More than she had probably seen at once in a long time. Enough to cover rent, bills, groceries, a break from constant panic. Why would you do this? She asked, eyes shining with tears. Because you've been holding this place together without anyone holding you up, Darius said. Because you showed strength when nobody around you made it easy. And because I don't want you to worry about tomorrow for once. She pressed the envelope to her chest and closed her eyes, letting tears fall freely now. Thank you, she whispered. I don't even know how to say it right, but thank you. You don't have to say anything, Darius said. Just promise me one thing. She looked up. What's that? Let me fix this place, he said. Let me rebuild it the way it should have been from the start. and let me help you and everyone else here feel safe again." She nodded slowly, wiping her tears. "I'd like that," she said. "A lot." The other employees gathered a little closer now, some smiling, some crying quietly, some simply relieved that the nightmare was over. Darius looked around at all of them. "This place is changing," he said, "starting now." They didn't clap, didn't cheer, but the look in their eyes was enough. Hope, real hope. But even with hope in the air, Darius knew the journey wasn't over. The diner needed rebuilding, the staff needed healing, and a lesson needed to be shared with anyone willing to listen. The diner felt different the next morning. Not perfect, not magically fixed, but lighter. The kind of lighter that comes when people finally get to exhale after holding their breath for too long. Darius arrived before anyone else and stood near the front door, letting the sunrise spill through the windows as he walked across the room. He wasn't here undercover anymore. No cap pulled low, no quiet booth in the corner. Today, he was present as the owner, the way he should have been all along. One by one, the staff came in, not rushing, not fearful. Janelle stepped through last, holding a small backpack in one hand and a tired but genuine smile on her face. "Morning," she said softly. "Morning," Darius replied. She walked behind the counter, noticing the transparent tip jar he'd set out the night before. For the first time since she started working here, she didn't look over her shoulder before picking up her order pad. No one barking commands, no one staring her down with threats disguised as authority. Darius approached her. "You ready for a fresh start?" She nodded. "More than ready." He smiled. "Good, because this place is going to look very different from now on." Throughout the day, he worked side by side with his staff, listening, asking questions, taking notes. He wanted to understand every broken piece so he could rebuild it properly. People relaxed, laughed a little. Janelle even joked with one of the cooks, something she hadn't dared to do in months. At one point, she walked up to Darius and said quietly, "I don't think you realize how much you changed my life." Darius shook his head. "No, you changed your life. I just cleared the path." She didn't argue. She didn't need to. The truth was written all over her face. And as the day wound down, Darius reflected on everything that had happened. Not just with Carl, not just with the diner, but with the way people treat each other. Power can twist the wrong person fast. Fear can silence good people even faster. But courage, even quiet courage, whispered courage, can turn everything around. He looked around at the staff preparing to close for the night, and he felt something he hadn't felt about this place in a long time: pride. Here's the lesson he carried with him. When you see someone struggling, don't assume they're weak. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who show up every day, carrying battles nobody sees. And sometimes all they need is someone willing to stand beside them instead of above them. That's how change begins. If this story made you think or made you feel something real, don't leave just yet. Share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe so we can keep telling stories that matter. Stories that remind us that kindness, courage, and accountability still mean something.